was automatic. I had that all my life. I didn't notice it. Sometimes we learn things to remember what we can do.
Hello and welcome to the Heal Yourself with me, Sarah Dawkins podcast. We share people who've already healed themselves, along with health and wellness tips from myself.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Heal Yourself with me, Sarah Dawkins. Today, my guest is Meilin Ehlke. And Meilin is a spiritual artist, a sacred sound channel, and a multidimensional healer who walks the path of the luminaria vessel, a soul who brings light into the places we've forgotten ever existed. Born with a deep connection to the stars, animals, planets, and Earth's magnetic rhythms, Meilin's healing journey began through her body, a body that walks differently, channels wisdom, and reveals how instantly we can transform when we return to our original frequency. So welcome, Meilin.
Oh, thank you for having me, Sarah. I'm really excited. Such an important topic that you're bringing to the world. Not just topic, it is really the energy of healing you bring with your podcast to people.
Thank you. To help, I hope to inspire others to have hope that any of my guests that share their own healing, that my audience can see that what's available to my guests is available to them too.
Yeah.
So, Meilin, I believe you were born with cerebral palsy.
Yes.
So, can you share a little of your background with us, what it was like growing up and how it shaped your relationship with your body?
Yeah, as a young child, you don't notice, right? So I started walking late. Also, I can just remember stories of my mother that she told me or how she experienced it. But I must have been very happy about life until 5. And I think by then, the kindergarten and school starts, you notice you looked at different. Or maybe as you're asking me now, I think I felt also sometimes the little bit of shame of my mother. Even though she didn't have much, she was very courageous, fighting for me. That's her rebellious nature, right? She escaped from East Germany, so she loves life. And as a child, when you're then in grade school, you go to you're the last one picked in school. Even though I have friends, but they then still, if it's competitive, they choose the other. Later then in life, I had a good sports teacher who really made no difference how I was walking or moving. And I did then also accelerate. I couldn't do the ones where you somersaults and things like this. I wasn't good at, but I was good like basketball and volleyball and handball, those things. And I really loved. Football didn't work because then you always have to be on one leg. Or athletics, no. But the other things, and suddenly there I said, oh, people do want me in the team because they see how good I am, because I could use my arms. That was then a big difference. And I honed that. So that was more the sports, how I felt. But from the beginning on, I was always in nature. So not knowing now, looking back, it's logically right, but I always went into the woods at that time when I'm now end of my 50s. In the 60s, 70s, you still walked outside and the kids all went into the woods and maybe came back at night. And so I always did that. I felt refreshed. And then later I was in a boarding school where also I had this great sports teacher, Mr. Schmidt. I can remember his name. And he always encouraged me. And so I went out through the landscape and just went jogging or walking and off the path. So I've learned to pull in the energy of a path. Normally on a path, we don't have the energy. We have to follow the path of an animal. If you're outside and you see, ooh, where do the deers walk or the fox, and walk those lines, because those are the energy lines in the ground and they feed us. I didn't know that, but I was always in tune. So when we would go, luckily I had a mom that didn't hold me the whole time on her hand, right? She would let me roam. And so I picked up energy there, and that fed me. You know, as a teenager, yeah, you see it then different. You walk down the street and people look at you the whole time and even turn their head. They look even more when you've passed them. That was hard to take. And then a friend luckily said once, Meilin, they don't look at you. They look at your face because you're always smiling at them. I said, luckily I had good friends that always encouraged me. And then when there was maybe the time when you start looking for boyfriends or so, there were men interested in young men. So that made me feel comfortable. They loved my being the way I was. And then the big change came when I was studying in the US. And I remember that phone call that I said, oh, Mama, here's a woman. She limps like me. And she just got picked up by her husband. He kissed her, And I thought, oh my God, if she can have one, I can have one. That was a big revelation. Yes and no. I'm also married. I have a beautiful son, even though they said I could not have a child. And I do have one. He's now 19, gorgeous, athletic, and yes.
Fabulous.
So
Yes.
I always pushed my boundaries. Nature gave me strength. I think my parents both, having a drive, an interest in learning more of what they've experienced. I think that is a little bit in me as well. And that luckily fed me, or my mom's, always in the 70s, you didn't give gymnastics to a child, right? But she had someone come home, do exercise, more flexibility. I had an operation when I was 7 to extend some tendons in my right leg. To facilitate that, I wouldn't at least always just walk on my toes. I do that still. Sometimes I'm really, really tired. But I always push boundaries. I did never accept what doctors told me.
And that's fabulous, because what you're saying is you intuitively knew that your body was able to heal.
Yeah.
Whether you knew that's what you were doing as a young child or not, but as an adult, you've obviously found that. Was there a specific point in your life when you thought, I can actually work with this and heal it? Or did you just intuitively feel it over time?
I like moving. So when I lived as a student in the US, I did a lot of sports. I learned I could do climbing, right? Rock climbing. I went to the gym, and we had a fantastic thing in Georgia, right? Where you could I would swim. My parents taught me to swim. I learned how to ski. I mean, unbelievable what the things I was able to, not as good as everyone else, but I come down and my foot cramps, so I can maybe ski 45 minutes, and I need to take my boot off and wait a half an hour before I can put the boot on, and the increments get smaller and smaller. So I've learned I cannot follow the others then all the time, but I can get down, and then I learn to enjoy like the ski hut or something like that. Yeah. So it's not so painful. If I walk or run, I cannot walk as fast as others, but they take their time, and there's some exceptions I'll speak about later. There are movements I can move then faster than everyone else. That's one. But I would say in college, and then I did all that sport. I did martial arts. There was also a woman who said, "Oh, you can do it." And as a child, I wanted to learn martial arts. And they said, "No, you can't." So I don't know. More and more, I met people that told me I can, or didn't put a limit on me, and they let me explore myself. That gave me a lot of strength. So luckily, I had some key people in my world. But I learned also she was Native American. Yeah. in college, a bioengineer. And so she saw the bigger picture, probably. I can't ask her now anymore. But yes. And then the key thing was, I think some guy said, oh, Meilin, I had the idea, I don't know where, I read in a book, someone extended their leg. Said, oh, maybe I'll extend my leg. And I found already orthopedic, I think, no, not orthopedic, whatever, someone who cuts up open the leg and they extend the bone, extended, and then the bone grows together. It fills the gap. It was about an inch, about 2.5 centimeters, he said. And my boyfriend was already coming over from Switzerland to the US to be there with me for this. And then I remember the one martial artist said, Meilin, maybe you want to check out that chiropractor before you operate. And I went to the chiropractor and he said, no, you just worked. You don't have 2.5 centimeters an inch. You could have a 1/4 inch and maybe a shoe or something. And maybe if we readjust you and see, he'd adjust me. I said, oh my God, I almost did that operation. I canceled it then right away. And then my body went unexploring. I learned then, I moved to Atlanta. There was a different chiropractor. I learned about Rolfing, a more extensive way of chiropractic, not just the bone cracking. The nutrition that went to it, supplements, the food. I mean, a whole adventure went there. And then I learned with the Koreans, again, an energy art, Qigong, and I could feel how the energy would go through my body and it would change. So that was maybe the point. So I would say when I decided to not extend my leg, that was the moment where I really started beginning what my body especially is able to do. But when my body can do it, everybody can do it.
And that's so beautiful, isn't it? Because our bodies can do far more than we're ever taught that we can do. And
Yes.
our mind is so powerful, which is wonderful, because that brings me on to my next question. You've said that your body's not broken, it's listening. Could you elaborate on that for us?
Yeah, so I thought often I was broken. Yeah, so in life, always over and over. And sometimes, even if no one is around, you think it. And you cry. I remember I wanted to learn how to ride a motorcycle. And I fell out, there was a quick one. You learned, and if you couldn't, next step, you fell. And I did, he pushed me out. And I said, why I want to do it, I cannot do it, then I had many of those moments. Or, and then you see these other beautiful women walking by and how elegant and things like this, these moments where they are. But then more and more, I found myself of how I function and who I am and what I bring. And then I said, I'm not broken. This piece is what I'm learning. I'm a good example. And, as I said before, there were people for me in my life that said, try it, you're able to do it, or they were it for me to copy. I learned I am that for many others, broken or not broken, able walking people or not, because I had that other demeanor. And my body became an instrument. So even then, this, when I said with the Koreans, and that started a whole spiritual path all the way up into shamanism, first over cats and animals to support them, but then also into humans. And I learned there through dancing. Someone said, oh, Meilin, you're dancing a certain dance. It was an African dance. I didn't even know I was dancing it. And he told me, oh, you're channeling a being, and he's dancing your body. And I said, oh. And then I learned more and more. And in dancing, or I don't limp, if I do healing dances or I let beings come into my body, that showed me within seconds the body can be different. I had experienced it before, right? If you're really in tune and you meditate and you connect with the energies, I can feel the body line up, then I'm straight, I can walk right, then I don't limp for a few seconds until the mind comes back, right? That's always the change. Or if you're really tired, then it's the same. But then you're not strongly connected. And then, if we're broken, we break ourselves a little bit through not taking care of ourselves, or maybe the food of our culture. And that is a societal broken. But we are not broken. It's just the truth that our society, our cultures are not living, and they reflect onto us.
Thank you. And you've just spoken of channeling beings. Would you like to elaborate what that is, so that anybody else who has the ability but doesn't know it can try it?
Yeah, so I want to give one more another example. So I have that often in the mountains. Suddenly, I feel a tiny different. You feel a little lighter in all those examples, and then I can walk faster than others. You go like into a rhythm. So many of you've maybe noticed that walking outdoors. Indoors, it doesn't really function so well. You have really honed the craft a little bit, very fine-tuned, because we're disconnected from the magnetic field. Outdoors, we're not, right? The flooring, wood flooring, or a plastic carpet, polyester carpets, they don't lead the magnetic field. But if you walk on concrete, stone, grass, soil, you're connected, especially barefoot, or maybe we have to go back to leather soles. I believe too many of us wear shoes with a plastic sole, so we are not connected. So this connection lifts you up. You feel lighter. So whenever you feel lighter, and something is up, and it's easier then to walk, to move. Or sometimes I felt like a man, so masculine, and I said, okay, am I more gay? These things came, and then I learned, no, I just feel masculine because I'm now a little bit more masculine being. I that's what is needed in the moment. So I learned to decipher, what am I now in the moment? Am I more feminine? And then sometimes I'm not so feminine. And then suddenly I would walk different. I could notice that it changed. I was not, it was automatic. I had that all my life. I didn't notice it. Sometimes we learn things to remember what we can do. And you learn, and maybe you feel your voice sometimes changes. You speak in a tiny different voice, or your vocabulary is a little different that you normally don't use. So these are little hints that you notice you have experience with other beings within you. Or you also sometimes you go different places where you normally wouldn't go, but your body moves you, and so you follow your body. That can happen sometimes. We wear clothes from someone else. And I would like to explain this. There was a small ritual we did once with a Siberian shaman. We just changed jewelry and made the decision to be like that person. And my person, I just then walked through. I didn't even notice I had changed. For me, it's always been so natural. So it's easy. I have to really think, have I changed or not? And the other woman who took my jewelry said, oh my God, Meilin, you always go off path. And then you go right into the bushes, and then you jump, and you go crisscross. And she had never walked this way. So I said, oh my God. She said, oh, that's fantastic. That's really exciting. She had never given herself the permission to go off path, because she was trained as a child. Just, if you're a good person, you stay on the path. So that's how it feels. Sometimes you feel different. So watch, maybe next time you wear from a friend or from your parent a piece of clothing. So that's a good tip. If you buy vintage clothes, which is now the fad, hang it in the sun first, or use your hands and energize it, that it begins harmonizing with yourself, so you don't act as the other person before you.
Thank you. That's a really good tip. Thank you. And in the vein of talking of energy and frequencies, did you use those as part of your healing too?
Yeah. Now, looking back, now that I learned so many things, I thought, oh my God, I've done that all my life. So nature, I touch nature. I need it. Because the moment you touch, you feel the energy, and the energy that's pure. It's lightful, and it energizes me. So there was something, all my artwork burned once, and to revitalize myself of that loss and trauma, because it's like my life disappeared, the whole atelier burned, I laid on the grass, and I did that almost for 3 months. Every single day when the sun was shining, I would just lie there, and I knew the energy of the ground would feed me. It would feed me, feed me, feed me. Or I go and lean against a tree, and I could feel a tree's energy in a way envelop me and give me strength. Cats have a perfect way of doing that. They support us in energy, so they feel when I'm not there, and they come and they cuddle or kiss me, and I have two different ones, more connected to the Star Nation. One is more the physical healing somehow. There was always one of those. I always have two cats. Sitting in the sun. I thought always, oh yeah, you're lazy, you don't do anything. But then I said, no. She feeds me. It is like an ignition. It ignites every little cell. It ignites, and we're learning that now more and more. If you look like in social media, they all talk about that. But I've been doing that now all my life. And if there's moonshine, even it's cold, I sit then at the window so I can soak it. I push my chair against the window. I always look for the sun, the fresh air, the wind. Don't underestimate what the wind heals. The wind takes away and brings. It's always blowing, right? We're all particles connected. And so the more you can be outdoors, the water. That is a good tip also if you're inside, right? If you feel tired, drained. So my body feels drained often. A shower and just washing your hands through Corona. We're probably doing that much more now again, because the water flow, it takes things away, and it connects you with the magnetism of the water. Water is so healing. Submerge your whole body into the water and go always into an exchange. Invite that the water exchanges its energy, its wisdom with you, that you go in relationship. It is really relate in relationship with this plant. I mean, she's with me, grows beautifully since I podcast, or I have others. The love you give for others, it comes back many folds and nourishes you. It's really a nourishment, an uplifting. You notice how you get lighter, or just you open the door, take a breath, notice how your body changes, your posture.
Thank you. And for those people who aren't overly spiritual or not aware of their spirituality at the moment, I know you spoke about some foods that helped you to be less stiff. Could you share some of those?
Yeah, food is very, very important, right? So I do shamanic work. I have to be able to hold a lot or go in rituals that are for hours. And so you have a strong energy flow through going through. My body has to hold it. I had to learn that my body has to hold certain flow of energy. And how do I do that? And anyone else, because I'm just an example, and through these extremes, it's a good example, and maybe you can try that. So if you need to sleep enough. Sleep takes away strength if you have a lack. We learned that, 24 hours no sleep, your brain doesn't function as well. You can't remember, shouldn't drive. I mean, you can test it, go into extremes, and then you know how important sleep is. Many people are not rested, and a good lead way how to figure out if you have enough sleep on a regular basis, if you need about 20 minutes to fall to sleep. And it's very important, these 20 minutes, we call that in de-animation. It's when your body really expands automatically because it has the power to heal itself. And that is exactly in the time between falling asleep and sleeping. And that's where it repairs itself. And if you fall asleep right away when your pillow hits the head hits the pillow, then you're overtired and you do not provide the healing time for yourself. So you're cutting yourself, your own healing power away. And this is the cheapest way. It's easy. You don't have to cook. You don't have to exercise, right? And no time wasted, maybe those 20 minutes. And if you fall asleep too fast over and over and over and over, it pools. It pools strength. Your cells don't develop, your mineral hormones. Now everything goes into that. So I invite you maybe to look how you fall asleep and see if you can extend it, the time that you fall asleep. Don't see it as waste, or that, oh, now I went to bed too early, I can't sleep. And also that's a beautiful time to set intention what you want to create in your life. It sticks then. You said nutrition. Yeah, nutrition, we know. I studied landscape architecture as well, and was in animal science for a while. So I know what animals eat or are given to eat. If you let them roam, they eat freely what their body needs. They have also their way of picking a plant here, picking a grass, a flower, what we call weeds that grow everywhere. They eat them because they're very nourishable, right? The moment you pick them and you eat them, and you can do that as well. You go outside, you see a dandelion, maybe you can eat a dandelion, a leaf, or whatever attracts you to take and pick it, one or two pieces, right? We don't need a whole bowl of raspberries. If you go in the woods and you find a raspberry and it spoke to you, otherwise you would have not found it, then eat it, or blueberries or strawberry, or whatever you find outside. So use that more, and then watch what your body picks in the supermarket. And maybe at the beginning, if you're not so honed on food, you just take the normal rhythm. But when the rhythm is broken and something calls you that you eat that fruit or that vegetable or that meat and take that in, it's better if you can eat organic, yes, because there are different levels of organic, but they try at least to use less pesticides. Also, then the animals are fed different. Many 50% of animals also have cancer and full of with antibiotics. And we know that's a whole different topic. Listen to your body, what it wants to eat. And as you switch and become more healthy, you automatically seek other things. The more healthy less sugary things you need, because suddenly it doesn't taste good anymore. So that's how you can heal. And there are many beautiful people now teaching about nutrition, and you have to find your way. Everyone is a little different. Eat more meat, some less. I'm more a meat eater. Then I have that energy. But also when I went on my journey of healing, when I learned also I'm a channel, that I also a psychic ability of bringing truth to people in a conversation. There was a woman, she told me once, she was a body channel. That was before I knew that they existed. Physical channel, and she was a Egyptian, and he told me for a year not to eat any meat, and if I am at a place where I am, to bless it. So I would find my own energy and not get the energy of whatever is the slaughterhouses, how they're raised, or whatever. So I put that really for 1 year aside, and if I went somewhere, I didn't want to be, I wanted to be nice and eat it, right? I didn't want to make a big trouble for others. I bless it. I would take my hands and speak to the meat, thanking first the animal and also that it would feed me and nourish me. Still do that even when I go shopping. I'm very thankful. I take it out of the groceries, or even when I cook, out of the grocery bag. Yeah, so this is about the food. You need less and less food once you are this way. That's good now because everything becomes so expensive. And eating in the wild helps because you even need less, because if you pick weeds or plants, not or healing plants, we can call them, they become limp really fast, right? But if you cook with it, I learned that from a doctor here in southern Germany. He has a whole hospital, American guy. He treats cancer patients with going out to the wild and eating directly in the woods and bringing that home. Because why is that? It radiates. So we lose our radiation, our body sinks, we don't have the ability. You want to raise illumination of a cell, and we just showed it, also the healing foods, right? When you bring it in, how fast they go limp. Bring it in, eat it, or eat it right when you go for a walk or you're in the garden and just, yeah. So that's how food nourishes you.
Thank you, Meilin. And you've talked about the nourishment from the food, and you've talked about the spiritual beings and being a channel. How did you navigate, or did you navigate any emotional responses? Did you have emotional ties to the cerebral palsy, or what it stopped you from doing?
Over and over, but somehow I'm lucky. I'm born as a stand-up doll in a way, right? I can tell you, I've been sad often and often, and I remember there were things, someone very important to me, or twice in my life, said, there was a big one. There were 3 people. Who wants to learn healing or be healed by a person that is not healed? That really shook me once. Now I don't worry, because I know I'm now a tool to show people what is possible, that they can see what switch. Seeing it and experience it, it switches something in their brain. People know they're able to do it within seconds. They synchronize with me if they see me. And they see how the body can change when I connect to the energy, right? Or then suddenly dance or do healing. They don't even see that. Maybe in the first moment. Maybe I also speak different because it influences my speaking as well. I have to use sometimes all my languages to get a point across, and I speak many star languages as well. And I mix them up, but that made me who I am, and that uniqueness. But or then is that, your body detests me. So if something like that comes, yes, maybe that's why I wanted, when I was younger, I in my 20s, I had a fit body. Maybe that's, I did almost 25 hours of sports a week, different things. I wanted to prove it to myself over and over, but that was exhausting. Now I don't need to do that exhausting way anymore. I've learned that there are these simpler ways of being who I am, makes life really easy. It doesn't exhaust. And if I just connect, I let myself be pulled by a tree or a mountain, and then I walk lighter and faster than other people. I don't have to prove it and build up these strong muscles. Yeah, you cannot be fat and weak or some, not fat, but I have been in that phase too, where I had totally given up. And I always waited for the moment what does need to be found or looked in with myself, what still hurts. And once I'm noticing, oh, this and this, then my body starts changing. It wants movement again. It switches, right? And then it loses weight itself. A good point. And you're speaking a lot about healing, so you have a lot, Sarah, an audience that is very keen of healing, or if they do it as a healer or heal it through all different professions, presence already is healing. We're light beings. We bring light to this earth. Every single person, if you know it or not, it was trained out of us through thousands of years, especially women. But a salt bath, that's why if you live close to an ocean, jump in it, and it takes out stagnant energy, because many of us can pile up energy and body weight because we take other people's energies. Yeah, and to distinguish, so a salt scrub sometimes helps, or then you have a feeling, oh, I really need something salty, then please eat it. Because your body tells you you need to flush out stagnant energy or energy you have taken on from others, or that you're holding of for yourself. So when I'm noticing, oh, I can't, why have I lost? I said, oh, what is the problem? What am I holding on to? And then I take maybe a salt bath or something, and then it starts loosening it up and move it through the body. So there's always this dialogue, a constant acknowledging, given your time, and the more you care about yourself, and I mean care also doing absolutely nothing, and it can be for hours, days, weeks, so you can, all your nervous system can become quiet. So cerebral palsy is a nervous system, right? So anything you can do to calm your beautiful music, that's healing. Sounds. I sing, I've learned that sounds help us remember who we are.
Yeah, because sounds have frequency, don't they? And it's the frequencies that affect us.
Yes.
Thank you, Meilin. And if you have one tip, I know you shared a lot of wisdom, if you had one tip today for somebody with cerebral palsy to help them to help themselves, what would that be?
Oh, with cerebral, the too many doctors hearing, or where you're pressed in shoes and that hurt, or in connecting to the light again, finding ways to meditate, and really bringing light find a meditation that brings light into your body, because the light switches, brings relaxation. So cerebral palsy is spasm, and there are many other things. Or also, if we're tight and we're worried, we do the same. We tighten up, right? And how do you untighten? Yes, you can take medication, but that's so bring the light into that place first. Maybe just the body. It's like letting yourself be showered. The sun showers you. Ask some, if you can't move yourself, the many that can't move so well themselves, that you can sit in the sun, in the moonlight, that someone puts you into that place, and you connect to the moon and the sun. Or just find meditations and sounds that help you expand, concentrate on expanding, and then that brings movability into it. And it can be done. It's practice, so please do not give up. And it brings wonders. And I know how it is if you're not on par, if, as Sarah has asked before, if everything you feel totally down in it, it's really hard, then let yourself be supported by nature. Just touch a plant, sit next to the plant, ask someone to bring you into the woods. Or if you don't have a woods, maybe in the garden, or maybe you have house plants, yeah, like this beautiful one. And touch it. Okay, it's a bitty pointy one, but there are others. Touch them and thank them that they're there for you. And because you're
Thank
also
you.
there for them.
Yes, we're all connected. Absolutely. Thank you, Meilin. And where can people find you?
Oh, it's easy. I'm on every social media under Meilin Ehlke, so that's spelled Meilin, and Ehlke Ehlke. Or if you put a .com, you have my website.
That's wonderful. And I'll put all that information in the show
Thank
notes
you.
below. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with my audience.
I really appreciate the opportunity, and you're shining your light. Don't forget, looking at someone with love moves so fast. You send out loving light to that person and they feel it in seconds, less than seconds.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Please share this podcast with anyone who you think will benefit. And can you leave me a review wherever you've listened to it to help me reach more people? Thank you.